You ain't no brother to me.
He's not your brother, right?
Right.
He's in the way.
What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna fight him.
Gentlemen, you ready? You ready? Gentlemen, let's go to war!
When it comes to the 2011 film Warrior, a couple of things come to mind. The first is obviously Tom Hardy's huge traps, of course, and the other one is, Nick Nolte, what the hell happened to your voice?
Tommy? What are you doing here?
In all seriousness though, the thing that actually comes to mind is shock. Shock that it didn't receive the amount of praise it deserved. Shock that many of you probably have no idea what film we're talking about right now.
Don't give me back! Don't do this!
If you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor. Save this video for later, watch the movie, and then come back. You will not be disappointed. For those of you that have already seen it, or for those of you that simply do not care, let's talk about one of the most underrated movies of the decade.
The two men fighting for the championship tonight, for the $5 million prize, are brothers.
You ready?
In a nutshell, Warrior is about a broken family. The first hour is dedicated to establishing Brendan and Tommy Conlon, two brothers who grew up with an abusive alcoholic father. When they were young, they got separated because their mother decided to leave. Brendan stayed out of love for his girlfriend and Tommy left with their mother. Their mother eventually became sick and died, so Tommy, the younger brother, is left to grow up on his own and views Brendan's decision to stay as a betrayal. Flash forward a few years later, and Brendan is a high school physics teacher and a family man.
For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction.
You owe me $200.
Tommy is a Marine who served in the Middle East. And life has its weird ways, and they both eventually come to the same decision: to make a living by fighting. At the most basic level of plot, the showdown in the end is never really in doubt. There are some pretty good fighters in the tournament, but it's clear from the beginning that the bad blood between both of them can only be solved in one way: in a final confrontation. But as it's usually the case with sports movies, surprises aren't really why we watch them. The outcome of the story doesn't diminish the impact, quite the opposite, as the sense of inevitability makes the ending even more cathartic.
Yeah, are we here to win this fight? Are we here to win this fight? You tell me, because if we're not, I will throw in the towel.
What makes Warrior so good is that it doesn't have a favorite.
I haven't forgotten for 1 minute what I promised Manny, you know.
We understand both characters, and so do the filmmakers. By the time we get to the standoff, it's unclear who to cheer for, because both characters have their own personal motives.
Listen, I promise you this. If I don't try in 3 weeks, they're gonna take the house.
This adds a complexity rarely seen in fight movies.
It's over, Tommy! Come on! Tommy, we don't have to do this!
Director Gavin O'Connor exploits action, but the strong characters give the story way more meaning than action alone could possibly give. For example, after a lifetime of drinking, Patty's approaching 1,000 days of sobriety. And in an excellent performance, Nick Nolte plays a noticeably weathered man trying hard to pull himself together.
You spare me the compassionate father routine, Pop.
Tommy, I'm really trying here.
Each secondary character in Warrior has a function, and the interplay of these functions is critical to making Warrior better than the average fighting movie. But the heart of the film is found in Tommy and Brendan. Tom Hardy and Joel Edgerton are both physically powerful, but the real key to the movie's effectiveness lies in their ability to also appear fragile.
Get out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Come on.
The only reason we care is because we actually believe that they can break. They're both too proud for self-pity, and this only makes their circumstances all the more painful. When every other way of being a man has been compromised, they fight. When society's promise that an honorable life in the military or as a teacher will pay off fails, they fight. When the very institutions that are supposed to serve as models for integrity fail, we find a deep and authentic impulse to find significance through the acceptance of pain. Fighting serves just as a metaphor for the mental battle they go through to find redemption. The real element that grabs the viewer is the journey to reconcile with each other and their father.
Get your hands off me.
I don't have time for whatever this is.
I'm just asking you if you can forgive me.
You won't forgive me, but you forgave Pop.
No, he's just some old vet that I train with. You know, he means nothing to me.
I'm sorry, Tommy.
The thing that usually sticks with us the most is the final fight and ending of the film. Tommy starts out leading what was expected. Years of built-up anger lead every punch. But then the unexpected happens. Brendan dislocates Tommy's shoulder. At this point, the fight, and the entire movie for that matter, take on an entirely deeper meaning. The physicality drops, and suddenly it becomes about the emotions.
It's over, Tommy!
Tommy's transition from tough guy to baby brother is heartbreaking to say the least. He refuses to give up, and in the end, what makes him give in isn't physical pain. It's his brother's voice asking for forgiveness.
I'm sorry, Tommy. I love you.
And for the first time in years, Brendan resumes his role as Tommy's older brother. Brendan has the money now, but instead of celebrating, he pushes everyone aside except for his brother. He picks him up and holds him as they walk out of the spotlight, how he was supposed to hold him all those years ago, as their paths are finally reunited. Like many, we walked into Warrior expecting an MMA movie. Instead, we walked out of an emotionally gripping movie with a powerful message. Pretty much all successful stories are about the conflicts that prevent the main characters from achieving their goals. What's preventing them from getting there is the psychological barriers they must confront in order to grow. It's only until forgiveness takes place that the real fight can be won.
For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. My wife and I, we have 3 jobs between us. That doesn't cut it.
I need the money, Joe. And I'm gonna need a trainer. This doesn't mean anything, okay?
Never had any interest in underdogs. That was your son.
You gonna get him, son?
You got balls talking about forgiveness.
You're not the only one that suffered, Tommy.
I haven't forgotten what I promised you.
Reardon was a hero in the Iraq War.
You and your brother are 2 boys.
I'm sorry, Tommy. I love you, Tommy.
Hey guys, sorry for the delayed upload. We had an issue with the program we edit with. As always, thank you so much for watching until the end. We hope you loved this one. Let us know your thoughts on Warrior. Do you think it's underrated? Let us know. Like the video, subscribe, happy 420, and don't forget to save your projects if you're using Adobe Premiere.